everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited to bring this to you today. I've been practicing my watercolours. I'm absolutely loving them, as you know, and watching everything I can under the sun about them, but still discover that I am absolutely rubbish at drawing. I love painting, but I'm rubbish at drawing. So I'm going through different books to see where I can use it in with the little work. And I discovered yesterday, which I posted on Instagram and Facebook, that this book works beautifully. And thank you to everybody that responded and said that they'd like to see the second picture done in here. So what I was playing with yesterday was this page. And I did this beautiful woodland scene of this oak tree. Sorry, I couldn't get my words out as usual. Of this oak tree, and absolutely loved doing it. I messed up a bit in there, so I had to put some darker green in. I put the wrong blue in and it went really blue. So, but other than that, I absolutely love how it's come out. So the second half of this page is this one. I was going to say let me put my light on, but it's so dull in the UK today. And yeah, so we're going to do this one today, this lovely little one here. And let me just show you. So I didn't load the paper with water, but I've got hardly any crinkle at all, look. And the page behind will sit completely smooth if you want to use your pencils on there again. So it does really well with minimal water. And yeah, so I don't want you to get bogged down with which set I'm using or whatever. Most sets will have these colours in. But I am going to use the Paul Rubens watercolour set that they sent me, for which I did a review on. We did a colour with me, didn't we? I think we did. I can't remember whether it was Hedwig or something else we did. But these are the colours in here, and all your sets will have these colours. So what I'm going to do is probably just refer to them as light blue, dark blue, so that you don't get bogged down with the names. I can give you the proper name, that's not a problem, but I don't want you to focus on, oh, I can't follow along because I don't have the Paul Rubens paints. It doesn't make a jot of difference. You will have these colours in a set that you've got. This is just a 24 set. So you will have these colours. They'll just be called different things. So that's why I'm putting them on the screen and letting you see. So if I turn them like that. So you've just got Naples yellow, which is an absolutely gorgeous colour. Sort of fades out into a sort of peachy yellow. This, which one is it that I love? This phthalo blue is beautiful. French blue. But they'll all be like this. Was probably French ultramarine maybe. I don't know. Indigo, oh no, we've got indigo there. So burnt sienna, Venetian red. So they're colours that you'll find in any set. So I'm not going to get too bogged down with it. But this is the set that they sent me, and I've been loving them, absolutely loving it. So I'm going to pop my colour chart there so I can tell you. And what I'm going to do is try, it's really hard to get it all in, is try and leave the paints here so you can see what I'm doing. Because obviously with 24 colours you're going to have to mix them, but I'll try and tell you what I'm doing. So, I've got to think about this. I can't remember what I did now. I need this very, very soft blue, and I think I took this one. So I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper. Just a piece of scrap paper. It's not watercolour paper, but it will just help me to see what colour I've mixed and if it's the right colour I want. I'm using the Winsor & Newton foundation brush, which is a size 6, and it has the most incredible point on it. I've got some really, let's see, what's that? That's a 4. Some really beautiful brushes here by Silver. These are the black velvet one, but they don't have the point. Like, they just don't come to the point. Let me try and show you. like the Winsor & Newton, for me anyway. I love my big one, but and I got them really cheap on a really good deal on Amazon. But I'm using the Winsor & Newton foundation. I think these were £7 for a set of like 4 or 5, something like that. And then what I did do was invest. She says invest. I brought some teeny tiny what they call liner brushes, and these are for nails. They were £3, but it was this one I was interested in, this liner brush, so that when I'm doing tree branches and things, you can use those to, I don't think we'll need it on this page, but yeah, £3 these were. So just nail brushes, detailed nail brushes. Okay, shall we get started? Okay, less ramble, more paint. So I'm just testing that which blue it was that I used. It might have been that one. Let me just see. That's French blue. I reckon that's French ultramarine, and I think that's the one I used for the sky. So I'm just taking a little bit of that, and I'm not adding loads of water. This brush is synthetic, it won't pick up loads of water, so I'm just watering that right down. So just got a tiny bit of paint, and I'm going to bring you in so you can see. It's going to be a bit of a challenge this, isn't it, to get the paint in and enough detail for you to see what I'm doing. Okay, let's try that. So I'm going to go, let's go under these trees, and we'll just plop that in like this. And if we just do it like that, then we can create some feeling of softness where the clouds might be. Let the colour sort of come out on your brush, fade away. And also there is, you know, there's absolutely no reason why we can't use a Prisma or you know, a pencil over the top to add even more detail in. So I'm just going to bring that out. And we don't just have to have blue, we can add some other colours in there. We could add a little bit of pink if we wanted. But let's bring that down. Soften that edge off. So I'm using hardly any paint at all for this sky. I just want it really soft, and I'm just dipping the tip of my brush into some water just because it dries out so quickly when you're using such a little amount of water. I'll just softly, and then you can just tip of the tip of your brush again, just plain water, and pull out any edges that look a little bit harsh with your plain water. I have just found it the most therapeutic thing to do. It's just so calming. So I'm just going in all these little gaps. I'm not filling every inch of it. I'm just putting tiny drops of blue in there. Yeah, so this one is called French blue. I did say, didn't I? And I think it's like a French ultramarine, or it could be like a cobalt blue. But whatever, as long as you like put water in it, it's going to come out pale. But this is just such a pretty colour. For any of you people that have been painting longer than I have, if you have any idea of what kind of, whether this is more ultramarine or cobalt blue, can you let us know in the comments? But yeah, it's just that sort of soft blue. Look at that, isn't that pretty? So I've just found it the most calming, tranquil. Oh, nearly went in the trees. and quickly discovered that I'm a bit rubbish at drawing. I can trace, but I don't know whether that'll come the more I study pictures, and whether it's practice or whether I'm just destined never to be my own painter. I don't know. But in the meantime, I'm having so much fun with this, with just playing, really. So I'm just wondering whether we should, I think we should just leave it the heck alone. Okay, so while I've got this French blue on here, we're going to start mixing greens. Now, I hate like acidy bright greens. This one is called May Green, which you'll be familiar with from our Polychromos set. And other pencils have them, don't they? Have it. And what I'm trying to do when I'm doing the painting in here is I'm just going to get enough of that, and I want some yellow, which is lemon yellow. What I'm trying to do is think about it in terms of colouring. So how would I colour it? What would I do? So like these leaves, I would have the top half of that brighter and then get darker as I came to the bottom. So it's no different. We are still colouring in a book. So, right, so I've got lemon yellow here. And what I'm going to do is start mixing in that French blue. So I get this green, which is much less in your face than that green, and much nicer in my opinion. And what I'm going to do is, as I go along, I'm going to add more of that French blue to this green mix, and it will get darker and darker. Or equally, we could add more lemon and it will get lighter and lighter. So I've just got an old cloth here, and I'm just wiping off my brush so it's not too wet. And I'm going to go in with this little mix that we've just made. And let's do this leaf at the front here. So I'm going to cover the whole thing. Can you see how amazing these brushes are? There we go. And we're going to cover the whole thing. And I'm not even going to worry about it. And then we're going to just let it dry. So I've got hardly any water. I've made the colour that I want on the pan, so I don't have to add any more water. But we can still get that lovely soft watercolour look. And we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to add different layers over the top to get that, to get our colour blends. It's as easy as that. Okay, so I'm going to leave the bulrush leaves, but I'm just going to do these big ones in this mix, like this. So nothing, and this is probably why I find it so tranquil, is that it's not taxing. It's a little bit of straight colouring, one bit at a time. So I'm going to go off. I'm not going to colour the bulrush leaves. I'm going to colour all these big leafy bits. Or maybe I should do them. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to go off and do that, and then we'll meet back up when I've done that and they're dry, and we can do the next part of those leaves, or the water, or, you know, whatever, another element. Alright, I'll meet you back here in a minute. Right folks, so they're dry. And now, according to my friend Google, I think I've learnt how to mix up a beautiful, like, beige colour, which is here. So, if I move the palette over while I do it, that might be easiest. So it says that if I take 1 part yellow, so let's take a little bit of yellow. I did try, obviously, that's how I've got that on my page. 1 part red, so I'm using the lemon yellow, cadmium red light, so we're going to get orange here. Okay, and then 1 part blue. So I'm going to use the French blue, or just that light blue, and mix that in. Look at that. We get this lovely brown tone. Now if we add more water to that, we just add plain water to that, we're going to get a lighter wash. I don't have white in this set, and I'm trying to learn how to mix these colours. So if I take my piece of paper and put that on there, you get this beautiful soft beige colour. And in this set, and in most sets, we've got an earth yellow, which is here, which is dirty. But if you don't, just a washy brown with some yellow. Here we go. And I'm going to use that on the, with maybe, let's just mix a little bit of that May green straight in. Let's see what happens there. We'll get a bit more of a olivey green. Yeah, let's do that. So May green and earth green, or earth yellow, together. And then let's have a look at that, because I want something for the stem, which is perfect. Look at that. Beautiful colour. Okay, so for the stem of these, that's the colour I'm going to use, that colour we've just mixed. That earth yellow and the May green. So a bright green and your very yellowish brown. We'll put those stems in. And this is why I love this brush. And even with my shaky hands, it seems to cope. So if you can see, I painted over them, the stems, because you can layer with watercolours and it just sort of adds to the depth, I think anyway, I could be wrong, but add to the depths of your painting. Okay, so we get those stalks in, and on the bulrushes too. There we go. And we can leave that paint in our palette, and we can put, when we've done the grasses with that beige that I mixed, we can put a little bit on our tips of some of these leaves. Like this. So I was thinking of doing a little watercolour series and going through colouring books that we can do it in. Right, let's get that beige. Of course I just put my paintbrush straight in there without cleaning it. Okay, so I've got watery mix of that beige that we mixed. The yellow, the red and the blue. And what I've learned from watching all these tutorials is if you try and stick to the same colours that you mix, you will make your page feel far more harmonious because they're all of the same family. Does that make sense? Just going to pick up that little, in a minute, let me just get these grasses in. So by using that, what am I using, what colour is it called, French blue, to mix the greens, it kind of keeps the page all uniform, because they're all being mixed from the same family. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Okay, I've missed a little bit of, I've missed a stem, so we'll put that in. And I've missed a little bit of leaf down there, so I'm just going to re-wet that green mix that we made earlier and put that in. Okay, alright, so let's take that beige that we mixed, that beautiful colour that we've used for those grasses. I'm going to put those on the bulrushes too, and that can be our highlight colour for them because they're quite dark. And then I'm going to put a little bit on like some of these bigger leaves and bring out that, just a little hint of trying to think, a little hint of a beige tint to them. You know, they get like the edges get bashed, or just on a couple. We don't need it on everything. Like that. Just add a little bit more interest, won't it? Just like when we colour in and we add different colours into things. Like that. Okay. Alright, let's turn our attention back to these grasses now, and our green mix that we've got here. I'm going to add a little bit more of that blue into it. So back in with that French blue, and it'll just get darker as we go along. We can add some red as well, that would darken it up, but let's just keep adding some blue for the time being. Okay, so like I said about with our colouring, I want to add some more dimension to these leaves, so I'm going to, on this underside here, start bringing this colour out. And I've got plenty of paint mixed there, so I'll get those two in, and then I'm going to clean my brush off on my towel and in some water, just get it damp, and then we'll just soften that off. Like that. And we'll do down here. And like these are going to be really dark, so we can afford to put that in there. Gosh, that was a big sigh. I don't know where that came from. And then we'll just play about with adding different values in on these grasses, so we can just keep adding, mixing, and that's part of the fun as well, I think, is mixing up your colours. I mean, you can get massive sets that have got colours all mixed in, but some they you know, like a pencil, they don't have, they're not always going to have the colour we want. So if we can learn to mix them and be happy with the mixes that we make, then we're going to be happier with our painting or our colouring book. So yeah, so I know I waffle on and I go off on a tangent and things, but I'm thinking of doing this little sort of mini series on watercolouring in colouring books, because I'm loving it and would really like you guys to come along with me. And we could do sort of, if I've got the interest, like I say, YouTube's algorithm, if I can speak, makes it very difficult to do the things you want, because you have to do it to get the views, and if you don't, then they're very open about telling you on your statistics that your channel's not doing so well. So if I get the interest, that I would love to do it. If not, that's okay, because I know my Patreon and members were asking, but I'd really love to do this as a whole, you know, all of us together. Okay, so we've got some dark green, so I'm going to leave that mix in my pan. And now I want a brown, a darker brown. So in this mix I've got, I'm going to go in with burnt sienna, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go in with burnt sienna. So most sets will have a burnt sienna, and we all know those from our colouring, which is this one here. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So burnt sienna. And let's, have I done all those leaves and bulrushes? Yeah. So I'm going to take that and our burnt sienna and combine them. I don't want to waste it, so let's combine that lovely beige that we mixed and that burnt sienna. Okay, that will mean we can go darker still. So I'm going to try and come in a little bit, and then I'll move the palette over when we mix. So I'm going to use this as our underside and is going to be our darker side of these bulrushes. So I'm just putting this in. There we go, really quick and easy. And then clean my brush off and then just help that feather out, and we've got that lovely soft beige edge that we mixed. Okay, we'll let that dry. Okay, and for these grasses, let's go in with another layer, I think, of that. Let's go in with another layer of that. Let's think. Let's drop a little bit of Venetian red in there. Why not? So Venetian red, this one, just straight off the pan. It's got a lovely colour to it. And it should, I hope, mix really nicely with the edge of these grasses. So let's drop that in. Let's see, on this darker one. Yeah, it's going to look beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So I'm not going for realism here. I'm just going for fun and an enjoyment of it. You know, let's just have some fun with it. And some painters, well, a lot of proper artists have just have like red, the primaries, red, yellow and blue, and they might have like a Payne's grey or something like that, and they mix all their colours from those three colours, and so that keeps their paintings uniform. That's beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? That's really gorgeous colour, and we can afford to go even darker, I think. So I'm going to get more Venetian red and get more, just a more intense mix of it, just more pigment, and just make sure there's not so much on my brush. And we'll go back to the first one we did, put a line in there. Okay, I'm just going to clean my brush off. So I've just got a damp brush now, and then again just use that to pull that colour out. A bit like when we do ink tints, you know, you keep wiping your brush off. We'll go back to our Venetian red mix and put that in there. So it's all just about, like you do with pencils, sort of layering it up, having a bit of fun with texture. I hope I'm not boring you. I really do, because this is fast becoming a really obsessive passion, shall we say. I'm absolutely in love with it. Okay, back to our bulrushes. And we are going to put in, I'm going to go in with a little bit of that Naples yellow. So it's just that creamy sandy yellow that you get. There we go. Well, it should be in most sets. So I'm just going to put that on this edge because I think I've lost my highlight a little bit. So I'm going to go in there with that. Okay, then we're going to let that dry. And when you put your colours down, like sometimes I was putting my colours, I'm going to put a little bit of that on these too. Just a little bit, like just sort of dot it in. I was putting my colours down, I was like horrified. I was like, oh my gosh, that's way too dark. But they dry so much lighter. Okay, so this is that Naples yellow. I also wanted to come back on and sort of redeem myself from the deranged bumblebee. I loved using Rebecca's paints, absolutely loved it, but I feel like because the paper wouldn't let me do what I wanted it to do, I was treating it like proper watercolour paper and it wouldn't work. And this wouldn't do the same either because it's not proper watercolour paper. However, it's quite good. There we go, a little bit of that in there. And a bit more there. Okay. Yeah, so I thought I needed to redeem myself. Okay, now I want a much darker colour, so I'm going in with dark umber here. Where is dark umber? Over here, this end. Yes. No, brown umber it's called, so it'll be like a dark umber. So I'm going to go in with it sparingly. I'm literally just with a damp brush. Here it is, it's really dark. Just putting the tip in. And then we're going to make this side, the darker side that we chose, we're just going to drop that in. And I'm just going to put in some little, like, use the tip of my brush to make that dark. And like I said, it will dry lighter. So I can pull one edge down solid dark. And then just use the tip of my brush to drop some of that in. Just give them a bit of texture. Seems as they're in the foreground. Just like that. And then keep going. I need more. I'm being too cautious with that dark umber and I need more of it. Okay. And then when that's dry we can put in even more of a sort of reddy brown, I think. Okay. So I have to let that dry. Take a damp brush and I'm just going to pull out, see if I can pull out, no, doesn't matter. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I want that beige mix and we're going to put that in this because this is an older tree. So that beige mix that we've got at the top here, I'm going to put that in. Let's re-wet it down. Okay, so it's a really nice and watery. And we're going to put do the branches of these trees. That's a bit of sky I've missed there. So it's really pale. But I want that, that'll give us our option. Now I've got, let me get Google up. And they are really pale branches according to Mr. Google here. So just going to fill all these up with this lovely beige mix that we mixed up for our grasses and bulrushes. Just fill that up. No rush, just gently, gently. And then I'm going to let all that dry before we attempt anything else. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, I have got a heat gun and you can use a heat gun, of course, but I do find that if you let it dry naturally, I mean, we're using hardly any water here, so it doesn't take long at all. If you let it dry naturally, the page crinkles less. That's my anecdotal findings. That's not written in a research anywhere, but that's what I've found. I think there's less wrinkle. So yeah, so I'm just filling those in. Okay, so What do you think so far? Easy, huh? And we can still put more detail in, but it's just a waiting game. It's just being patient, letting it dry, adding and layering up those colours. Okay, so I'll go off camera and I will get that done. I'm also going to paint in with this colour those tree trunks, and then we will meet back up again. Alright my lovelies, see you in a sec. Okay, so I've done the branches up here and these little trees down here. And I think what I'm going to do is add some blue to this water. So same colours as we used on the sky. We're going to go over that because the water is not going to be blue. It's going to have a reflection of all this greenery and brown. So I'm using that colour that we mixed down here. I'm going to re-wet it. It's all dried out. No, I'm not using that colour. What am I talking about? For goodness sake. I'm using that French blue, a very watery French blue. Why did I go for that green? Because I'm talking about green, isn't it? Okay, and we are going to do the same as we did for the sky. I'm going to drop that in just little lines where we can get in there, of course. I'll come back and pull that out a bit. And don't worry about catching those leaves, and that's the beauty of the mixing, because we've used the blues to mix those colours in, so it won't matter so much if we get it over those leaves. And we'll just get that blue in, leaving some white space, which will be our water. Okay, so it's really soft, but it kind of joins the sky and the water all together. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Right, so before we go any further with our darkness on these leaves, I want to do these trees because these are further back. So our green mix, we're going to take more of that French blue and we're going to put that in there. Now, let's try, that's 2 blue now. So we're going to go back to our, what did we use? A little bit of yellow, just a tad of yellow. Okay, so I don't want this very bluey green, so I'm going to add a tiny bit of red, see what happens. So I'm adding cadmium red light to that, and then we'll go back to mixing. And this is what I just enjoy this. Okay, so now I've got a bright red mix, who cares? Bit more blue, so we're going to get a purple. We're going to end up with brown here because I've messed this up completely. Never mind. Okay, let's move the palette over and start again. It's fine. This is, you know, we haven't messed anything up here. So I'm going to go in with, did we use just the, we just used the French blue, didn't we? French blue and the lemon yellow, didn't, yeah, that's right, lemon yellow. And we've got a green. Very nice. Okay. And let's just add a little bit more blue. And maybe that's okay. That's a good colour. So let's, like, I'm just going to, these ones under here are going to, well, we're going to drop this in at the bottom because it looks quite dark. But we'll see how that dries. Got quite a bit of water on my brush, so I'm just going to spread that out. Again, I'm not worried about going over those little tree trunks for a minute. I'll just get this colour in. We'll see how that dries. You know, if that's too dark, it's fine because we've dropped it at the bottom. Let's drag that out so it'll get lighter as we come up and we use up that paint. Now, because these are such teeny tiny spaces, we can cheat and add pencil for any branches that we've covered up. Well, I don't think it's cheating, it's mixed media. And like I said, I've been watching Paul Clark, and he's an absolutely incredible artist. I'm fascinated when I watch him. And he uses he uses chalk pencils over his for fine details later on when he's finished. So if he can, we can. Okay. Let's just make sure we've got all that dark in there. That is a lovely dark green that we've mixed there. Isn't that beautiful? So what I say is we use that green and we put even more interest down here in our darker spots down here. So I'm just going to kind of bring out, really carefully, bring out some of these darker areas on our leaves here. And just have fun and play about with it. That's, you know, if you've got a colour that works, like you would with your pencils, we would add the same tones and values on our pages using our pencils so that we don't have like a mishmash of colours. So I don't see why we can't do the same here. I hope you find this as fascinating as I do. This just, I remember, it must have been about 12 months ago. What were we were using a budget pencil set. I can't remember whether it was the Amazon Basics or it was something like that didn't have a massive range. So it would have been Amazon Basics or something like that that had just a small set. And I remember saying to you guys then that I was absolutely enthralled by how we could layer pencils and change colour with them, you know. And it really excited me. Okay, so, and it's just these little bits of layering up these different colours that will just make us look like we're very clever, when in fact it's very easy. Okay, alright, so we've got some interest going on our leaves. I don't want them super dark, so keeping that dark mix that we've just had, that one, let's add, I want to get lighter, so let's add some lemon yellow. We can always remix if we don't like it, but I think if we stick to the same combinations of colours, it will look better on our page. So I'm just going to add a bit of water. There we go. So we're coming into, I have to be careful because we're coming into those acidy greens that I don't like. And we're just going to wash that in. And that'll drag out some of that colour. And we're going to get some natural highlights on there. Like this. Pull out that, and it will pull out that darker colour and just sort of merge those two in. And again, it looks like we've spent hours blending and doing super complicated things when we haven't. So we can put that in like over there so it fills in any spots, layers that all up. Okay, and then I'm going to add even more, I've got to be careful I don't want to go over it, even more, let me get you in, even more of that lemon yellow to this mix. And then, because I hate that, like, I'm really not like a chartreuse fan, I'm just going to drop a little bit of that May green in it. And I might even just touch the tip of that French blue and put it in there. Just want to knock that acidy colour back. I don't like it. Okay. Back to the May green. This is just because I'm, you know, as you learn as you go along, I'll be quicker at this and have to waste less paints. Okay, so I'm going to try and drop that in. Let me see. Okay, watery enough. Alright. And the other thing I'm doing is to keep the point on my brush, I'm just sort of, when I go through the paint, I'm just sort of rolling it off so we get that nice point back on the paintbrush. So now we're just going to plop that in. So that's very similar, but it has got a lighter hue to it, which is lovely, and we can use that then to push those bits of colour around that we put in a minute ago and sort of reactivate them and merge them in. Then we get this lovely natural blend of colour in there. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to use that colour now that we've got on our brush, and I'm going to paint this. I know you're going to think, oh yeah, but it's all the same colour. It won't be, because we're going to add some browns and things into this. We're going to go back to our bulrushes first. And we're going to mix up a different colour for those. Okay, so we've got some green, very green land going on there. We'll let that dry. Okay, I'm going to take that Venetian red, which we had over here, and I want to darken that up for our bulrushes. I want it to be more of a reddy tone, and then I'm going to take burnt sienna and mix that in. Burnt sienna. I want it even darker than that, but I want that to keep that sort of red hue, so I'm going to put in some, let's see, let's put some red in. That cadmium red light that we've been using, I'm going to put that in. I know that's very bright, but then I'm going to add that, let's add some brown umber to that. Even more brown umber. See what I mean? I'm just, because I'm learning. There we go. One of you guys could have probably mixed this tone in like 2 seconds, but let me just check that on our, you know, on our piece of paper. Yeah, that's better. That's more bulrushy colour, I think. Okay, so let's try and drop that in. Okay, so that dark side that we did earlier, I'm going to put this on there. That's much, much more like it. But leaving that highlight that we'd put in. And then a very concentrated colour of that. Okay, so now I'm going to wipe my brush off, so get rid of all that paint, and then I'm going to just let the paintbrush take that wet edge off and blend those colours in, like that. Are you listening to me? I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I don't. As you can see, when I'm mixing my colours, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just playing. I'm going to put a bit of that down over that, you know, that, what colour was it that we had? Earth yellow, I think we used, didn't we? I'm going to pull that down. So these have got a bit of dimension to them. And just plop that in certain places. I'm not following the whole stalk. I'm just going to plop it in certain places. Like where I think they'd be darker. Okay, we're going to do the same on this side with those grasses. So we're going to pull some of that colour down in there. We can even put a little bit on the tips of these leaves. Like that. And just see what it looks like before we carry on. And then I'm going to take a tiny amount and we're going to put some little seed details in here. It's a bit too heavy-handed then, but just put like, these are all like grasses that have those, all those seeds, those annoying seeds that get on you. Okay, like that. Just some texture. Okay, and then step away. I think the biggest learning curve for me is learning to stop. I fiddle and faff, and I don't, watercolours, well, you get these incredible, of course you do get these incredible amazing artists that can do incredible things, but I don't think like that watercolours are meant to be that fixed, you know, in my opinion. Okay, so let's go back up to our older tree, and using that mix that we've just got there, that nice dark mix, we're going to drop some, just drop some, let me get my picture back up, from Mr. Google. There it is. We're going to drop some very delicate lines in there, so or some very delicate detailing in there. Let's do this big branch. So if we're thinking about it in terms of our colouring books, I would make this side of the branch darker. So just, this is where those little nail, oh gosh, sorry, these little nail brushes would come in really handy. But this Winsor & Newton brush, for a budget range of their paintbrushes, is just fantastic. So I'm just sort of wiggling the brush just really slightly. And if you have shakes, this is where it really comes in helpful. See my hand doing it? It's not, I'm not, that's shakes. Because I'm trying to keep it in a confined space, those fine motor skills, my hands start doing that like spasm thing. I don't know if any of you out there have got those issues, dexterity issues, but there it goes again. That's because I'm trying to get in tiny spaces. Yeah, okay, there we go. So I know I'm going to shake. So I just have to get it on the page where I want it, and then just let it go. As long as it doesn't streak across the page, I'm happy. Okay. So we're getting there now. It does take a time, but with my newfound freedom, folks, I have more time, and we have more time where we can play together, and I'm so excited about it. And that is, I've handed my notice in at work, basically, and that's all thanks to the support of my members and my Patreons. I can't thank them enough. They're an incredible bunch, as are you guys, for all the support you've given me over the years, and you know, you're all incredible. So we will be meeting up hopefully a lot more regularly, which is why I'm saying let's do this watercolour series. Please, please, please be interested. There are so many books that we can do this in, if you're interested. Some that will take water better than others, so that we can use, you know, some that we can use more water in. like we did in Coleridge Wild, when I coloured that little lady's face and the flower. Others like this that we have to be more tentative with the water, but you know, oh, I'm so just, it's like liberating. It's so freeing. Okay, there we go. Right, I want to see what that purple mix is that I made, that mud. Let's see what that comes out like on the paper. Is it purpley or is it... You look. We're going to use that. I'm going to drop that in this tree as well. So I'm going to put it in here. I think that'll... I think it'll... Just in some really dark areas, like branch crossovers, where there's a lot going on, like over here. And if it's too dark, we can always knock it back, but I think... I don't know what colour are these, I don't know what colour these little things are. I'm going to have to look them up. I've got this picture of this alder tree, but it's not got these little doodads on. What are these doodads, folks? Okay. Yeah, so I just feel like a different person. It's like a weight off my shoulders. I can't tell you enough, honestly, to be to have this disability of, and I call it a disability because of fibromyalgia. My fibromyalgia is, I get pains in my hands, but mine is mostly just exhaustion, sheer exhaustion, and to the point like my legs burn. I can't function properly. I can't think straight. All my like cognitive skills go out the window. Yeah, dexterity issues, all things like that. So anyway, to get back to the point, Lucy, you rambler. So to have that freedom of not worrying about, oh no, am I going to be ill today? Can I go to work? How do I go to work feeling like this? How am I going to function feeling like this? You know, what if this? What if that? And I'm sure over the years, well, I'm pretty sure that over the years that this is what has been causing the major bouts of anxiety, because you kind of go round in circles. You can't go to work because you're ill, or you're exhausted, or you know, one of those things. Like quite often I wake up, feel like I've got a really horrible cold coming, sore throat, fever, headache, all those things, and then I'll go to bed and rest, and the next morning it's gone. It's like it was never there. It's bizarre. So I'm sure that over the years that has paid a huge toll on anxiety, and so I don't know whether it's the watercolouring helping or not, but I feel liberated. I feel absolutely free. And so I can't thank all of you for supporting me enough. It's just, yeah, I'll stop rambling. But just know, you've helped to change someone's life massively. Thank you. Alright, let's leave that alone for a bit. Maybe, no. Let's add this colour, this bulrush colour. Let's put a little bit of that in there too. It will pull all this together. So just, I think we used it anyway, didn't we? I'm just kind of pulling out little areas. That's all I want, just the indication of colour, because according to this it's like a creamy beige silvery colour, and I don't, you know, I'm not accomplished enough to do that yet. Okay, let's leave that. Bring this colour down into these trees. So let's pick a side that we want darkest. Well, we've done this side as our darkest, so we'll put this on the dark side of our trees. And just again, there's not enough space to do much detail in it, but we can make that quite dark in there, in between those trees. So I'm just going to pull out one side, just sort of drop it in, lines in there, and then I'm letting like the paint run out on my brush so you get these different tones. Okay, make those dark in there. Okay, oh, give me 1 second. Right, I'm back. Good morning. So it's quite ironic really that I was talking to you yesterday about this fibromyalgia thing making me feel like I've got a cold. I feel like I've got a sore throat. I feel like, yeah, I've just got a cold coming. I feel like, and you can guarantee if I get a good night's sleep tonight, that's it. It will be gone. So I apologise for the way I sound right now. It is what it is. So I'm going to finish off. Now this is really dry, I can see that I want to add some darker areas, and we're going to use this mix, this really dark brown that I managed to make. It looks purple on the tray, but we're going to add a little bit more detail into our trees, and I'm going to put some of that, let me re-wet it, it's obviously dried up overnight, but that's the beauty of watercolour. I went to get out my Himi, you know, my jelly gouache, the Himi, the big tray cup ones, and of course they're all dried out. So I've sprayed them with water, and I'm waiting to see what whether I can bring those back. Okay, so down in these trees, I'll bring you in because we're not mixing anything, we've already done it all. I'm gonna, like right up here in the darkness, I'm gonna just put some really dark drops of this brown in here. This is that depths of the woods in there, and it'll dry a bit lighter, but I really want that under that canopy to be really dark. Put those branches back in, look. Could get those tiny brushes out, couldn't I really, and do it, but it seems to be working. This, I love this brush. I don't know whether it's just a fluke or if they're all like it, but if you're wanting to do watercolours, these foundation ones are just probably one of the best that I've found so far. I haven't done a lot, but I have got those silver black velvet brushes that are supposed to be incredible, and they are, the bigger ones are, but we'll just put some tiny dabs of this now it's dry in here. It will just add a little bit more texture and interest, break up all that green a little bit. There we go. And then come back to the top up here, and we need to pick out some dark areas on here too. So, oh, fun fact, I looked these little doodads up that I called them, and they are catkins, and according to the Woodland Trust here in the UK, catkins appear from February to between February and April, and the female ones hang down, they're those dangly ones, and the male ones are like these. So I did not know that. So there you go, little fun fact, little nature fun fact there for us. Put some dark in there. I just think that this dark will really help it. We can put some, will really help it lift, and we could put some pencil in there if we needed to. But I just quite like keeping it as simple watercolour as I can. Obviously if it means I'm missing out detail, I would put some pencil work in there, but at the moment I just really like the way that soft pale wood that we've managed to achieve. What do you think, guys? It's learning that watercolour balance, you know, that it's not like, although I'm thinking about colour, about filling it in like a colouring, it's not like using our coloured pencils, is it? You don't have to fill every area, well, we don't with our pencils, but I mean, you can get that much softer, delicate look, and it's acceptable in watercolour. And I like to sort of step back then, let it dry and see, because it always dries a little bit different at the moment anyway. It always dries a little bit different to what I'm expecting it to. So yeah, so the female ones of these hang down, these catkins, and the male ones are like this, and they're green. Isn't that interesting? My shaky hands again. I'm just trying to get some of these branches that are behind. Yeah. Okay, I think that little bits of that darker brown that we mixed really helps. Okay, and I'm going to put some down here. We are going to use this, and we're going to put that shadow in here over that grass, just a watery mix of it, like this. You can put that, mix that in that green over there, give us that shadow from the trees, make that darker in there, like that. And then I'm going to take that green, let me think, what do we want? That earth yellow colour, and mix that in. That's probably going to be a bit straight from the pan, but with a little bit of water. Just tone it down a little bit. And then we're going to put that in there, mix in with that green along the riverbank. Like that. And then we're going to bring that out into the water. So we can make some shadows along here. Like that. While that's wet, we can put a little bit of that May green in. Just a little bit. I'm just re-wetting what was on the palette, that May green, and pull that out. And don't forget it will dry lighter as well. But we do need some reflection from this little island that we've got going on, and those trees. So I'm just sort of glazing over that colours that we'd already put down. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, and then let's put that green in our catkins. So I'm just re-wetting that mix that we had on the palette, and that's pretty much the colour that they are, according to Mr. Google. Oh, I'm going to sneeze, hang on. Oh, bless my soul. Oh dear. Okay, we'll get those greens in. Oh, I've loved doing this page. It's just something fascinating about mixing all the colours. Seeing an image like this, obviously I wish I could draw it, but I can't. Seeing an image like this just come to life, it's just amazing. We can drop a little bit of green in the ends of those branches. Yeah, I'm enthralled with it. It's incredible. Yeah, so I was looking, well, I got my gouache set out to have a go with gouache. And yeah, I've had to soak them because they're so dry they're cracked. And I've sprayed them and covered them, and I'll just hopefully come back to them and be able to reactivate them. I know you can, but people say they're not the same once you have to put water in. I'll just put a little green on some of those branches, like a little bit of sort of algae or moss growth there. There we go. Okay, I think that our water could do with just a tad more of that very watery French blue that we put in, I think. So I'm just going to come in here. There we go. Like that. What do you think, guys? Take a little bit of that dark mix that we've got on the palette, and I'm going to put some in here. I've got to get it removing. It dries so quick because we've got such little water. And you can keep playing until your heart is content. So I am just picking out some even darker areas like this with that dark mix we made. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Bit more shadow on that island edge with that brown. And I think, let me come out and have a look. You are stuck on my tripod, but I think that we are complete. So we've got this very dark, atmospheric, lovely spring, well, if it's February and April it's spring, woodland at the top, and then combined with the beautiful lake scene here. Almost like we've followed up the path on the top one to find this beautiful lake scene. So we've followed our little flow of water all the way to our lake scene. There. And I think I'm going to leave it alone because I'm going to play and I will spoil it. So there we are, a little walk in Leila Duly's woods, and I absolutely love it. So please let me know what your thoughts are. You know, if you don't want to, that's fine, but please let me know what your thoughts are on me finding books that paint will work in, that we can do this. And we can add pencil and things, like I can get the chalk pencil out, like I was saying, to add detail, or I can use you can use Prisma over the top if you're not happy. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, because this is our space, and I want everyone to be happy and, you know, doing things that we enjoy. So yeah, so I will let you go. Thank you so much for joining me. I've had an absolute blast. I've loved it. Such a beautiful page. I hope you can pick up on the very subtle blues in the background. But yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous page. All right, my lovelies, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining me. And until we meet again in the next few days, take really good care of yourselves, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.